Geometry section 4.1 is dealing with classifying triangles. And there's two different ways that we're going to classify triangles, by their angles, the measure of their angles, and also by sides. Some of these you've heard before. The first set are by angles. So an acute angle means that every single side here is less than 90 degrees. So all angles are less than 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is when you have at least one angle, one of the angles is larger than 90 degrees. So this one is larger than 90 degrees and we call that obtuse. Now, when you have an angle that's exactly 90 degrees, we call it right. So one angle equals 90 degrees, it's a right angle. By sides, we have three terms. Scalene, which means that all sides are different. That means there's no sides that are equal to each other. Isosceles means that there are two equal sides. So, and remember how when we're doing sides, to show that they're equal, you have those little slashes. So this side is equal to that side. And then finally, all sides that are equal, so all of these are equal to each other, that's called an equilateral. So scalene, isosceles, equilateral, and by angles, acute, obtuse, and right. So make sure to do the vocabulary, to write these down, and then we're going to go straight into our example. Our first example is, this is basically telling us that certain angles are equal to each other. It's also showing us that these are equal to each other, and they want us to name, A wants us to name isosceles triangle, and B wants us to name a scalene triangle. Alright? So, isosceles triangle is the one where it's two equal sides. Scalene triangle is the one where there is no equal sides. So, we won't name all of them so we don't waste time, but we'll name some so you can get the idea. An isosceles triangle, all equilateral triangles are isosceles triangles because equilateral means all sides are the same. Isosceles means that at least two sides are the same. So if I have equilateral, they also count as isosceles. So keep that in mind. For example, it tells us that UV, so this whole thing, triangle UVX, they are all equal to each other. UV equals VX equals UX. So already, an isosceles triangle is this equilateral triangle, UVX. Now, with a triangle, you can name it in any order. And so it doesn't matter which way I name UVX, VX, U, as long as I name all 3 points that make the triangle. The next one we also have is, you see this has 2 on it. So basically we also have triangle. This one, that line shows us that they're equal, so triangle UTX. Alright? Any triangles that have no congruent sides are called scalene. So we know that this triangle right here, none of this is equal, so we have triangle VWX. We also have these triangles right here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, yeah. 1, 2. So we know that triangle YTU. Okay, and we also know that triangle XTZ. And those are scalene because none of the sides are equal to each other. Okay? Our last example. Oh, don't forget to go ahead and write this down, pause it and write it down, but also do page 205, number 3 and 4. Page 205, number 3 and 4. Our last example is telling us to find D of the equilateral triangle. So equilateral means that all sides are equal. So it's telling us, try another color. It's telling us that this is equal to this is equal to this. So the good thing about this is that I just need 2 equations. So don't make them equal to each other. If you're having equations with more than one equal sign, there's no way you can solve it. So make sure you just choose any 2, because any of them will do. If it's scalene, then I can only choose the ones that are equal to each other. For example, if this wasn't equal, then I have to make these equal to each other. But because it's equilateral, I can choose any 2. And let's choose the easiest. Let's choose this one and this one. So we know that D plus 2 equals 12 minus D. Now again, I could do this equals this, I can do this equals this. Doesn't matter as long as I make them equal to each other, they have the same letter, and I can solve. Alright? So my first step is to subtract 2 from both sides. I end up with D equals 10 minus D. Then I add D to both sides. I end up with 2D equals 10. And then I divide both sides by 2. This cancels out and I end up with D equals 5. Now, my apologies, it's my phone. I could also do, for example, D plus 2 equals this one, and I should get the same answer. Okay, so I know to add 13 to both sides. I end up with D plus 15 equals 4D. Okay, subtract D. I end up with 15 equals 3D. Divide both sides by 3. I get 5 equals D. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one I have, I still end up with D equals 5 because of equilateral. Scalene I can't do because none of the sides are equal. Isosceles I can only do 2. So go ahead and try page 205, number 5, page 205, number 5, and I will see you tomorrow. Or if you're watching this during break, I'll see you after break.